H asterisk L Steno Squad, hello, and welcome to the Lady Steno Podcast, where I chat with the brightest real-time providers in the field of stenography. And if you are ready to increase your real-time speed and translation rate, head over to www.stenospeedclinic.com for an exciting opportunity. Now let's chat with today's featured guest, Erica Riley. Erica, are you ready to go on the record?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Erica Riley is the owner of Keep It Realtime.com, which is a cartoon captioning company promising to help her clients overcome the obstacles that they may face in communication. Erica is a stenographer of 6 years, providing real-time the entire span of her career. Erica, take a minute and fill in some gaps from that intro and give us a glimpse into your personal life.
Thank you, Lady Steno, for this opportunity. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I am 33 years old. I am currently living in Niceville, Florida. And yes, it's really nice here. And I have always enjoyed the cart captioning field. And I've always been someone to help people out. I'm not married. I have no kids, but I do have one dog, and he's blind and he's diabetic. So I definitely spend a lot of time with him. In my free time, I love to work out. I love to go to the beach. I love to do outside activities because it's so beautiful out here. I love to take my work and go do it at the beach or parks or just in this area.
And then I also saw that you also model part-time for the NCRA. Tell us about that.
Yes, last year at the National Court Reporters Association conference, I was asked to do a photo shoot for their cover of their Facebook page, which you probably could find me on there right now. If you go to their website, also their Twitter feed, I'm also on there as well. It says, I love steno, and I have my steno machine. I'm hugging it. I was very surprised that they asked me to do this, and I was very honored to do it as well, and just to do anything to promote this profession and get more people out here, because it's definitely a need for us right now in this world.
There is a huge need for qualified stenographers, and it all starts with finding a good school. So take us back to when you went to school. What school did you go to?
I went to Alvin Community College in Alvin, Texas. Yay. Unfortunately, it's being shut down now, but I did start at Alvin Community College. My theory there was Sten Ed. I learned real time from my theory, which was very, very helpful for me in order to get to this profession and have the confidence to do real time in front of hundreds and thousands of people. I had great professors. We had very close relationships because you do spend a lot of time with them and learning from them and gaining knowledge.
And so from start to finish, how long did it take you to finish your schooling at Alvin, your training?
It took me about 8 years to do this. I was going full time for 8 years. It was a lot longer than most students that were there, but yet it was like kind of a median, because this profession, it's all about you and how much work you're willing to put into it. And yes, I started when I was 19 in school. And, when you're young, you think about other things. You don't take school as serious as you should. And I did play around a lot, but I realized that everyone else that was my age were getting doctorate degrees, their master's degrees. And what was I doing? I'm still in school, and I'm still in my 120s or my 100s word per minute speed. So I realized that I needed to get serious about life, and I needed to get serious about my career in court reporting and captioning. So at that point, that's when I decided to, take the time out to practice more, take the time out to just write tests, just go do tests, regardless if I thought that I passed them or not, or got them, quote unquote, or not. I just would write it. I would just go transcribe, go to the computer room and transcribe my test. And that's when I realized that, I'm a lot better than what I thought I was.
Definitely, definitely. And you also started right out of school, like immediately you started providing real time. So how did you know that you were ready to do that? How did you know your real time was good enough to start selling it?
Well, Lady Steno, I really think that it's all about your personal confidence. When you're in school, you need to write real time every time. When you're practicing, when you're doing a test, when you're just in class doing drills, you need to be writing your real time, and you need to be going back and editing it every time. Like every day after school, you need to take out 30 to 45 minutes to just edit everything that you did that day. If you hear any other words, like mainstream words from rappers or politicians or anything of that nature, think about certain words and ask yourself, are these words in my dictionary? And if you start doing that and incorporating that thought process, get you a little journal, pull up the notes section on your phone. And every time you hear a word that you think is not in your dictionary, or a new word, or just any new type of jargon, go ahead and write it down, and then go home and make sure it's in your dictionary. And, you can come up with briefs for it and practice those as well. But the main way that I realized that I was ready is I just went and did it. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work for the Texas School of the Deaf, and they have Promethean boards. And I was able to hook up to the Promethean board, which is a big, huge board that I can project my steno. It's very nerve wracking, and it can eat you up inside, but you just have to let that go and realize that you're not perfect. Everybody, we're only human. We're here to provide a service, and you can only do the best that you can do. So just go out there and do the best that you can do. Prep work. Prep work is the best thing. Prepping your work, getting any and all information that you can get before you get to your job is the best thing that you could do for yourself. And putting those words in the dictionary and just making sure that you're very attentive, get a good night's rest, eat well, have your snacks, and, just go out there and be the best person that you could be.
So I know you said your confidence level, it started to rise once you started transcribing every single test. How about when you started actually working? How long did it take for your confidence level to build for even on the job? Or are there times today, even 6 years later, where you get nervous before you work?
Well, Lady Steno, absolutely. I usually have this feeling of nervousness every single time I put my hands on that steno machine. It's a normal feeling to feel nervous, but after a while, you understand that you're only a human person and you can only do the best that you could do. The nervousness will come at the beginning, but if you have a good practice routine, if you have a good just foundation, if your foundation in your theory is clear and concise, and you've mastered your theory, whenever things start to get hard for you or you get nervous, which everyone does, nervousness is not a respecter of person. It's going to hit everyone. But once if you know your theory, then you can definitely, when things get hard for you, your theory will guide you. You will be able to write what you need to write using everything that you've learned. And if you've been transcribing a lot, then your software will be able to understand, even if it gets a little rough for you. Definitely bring paper towels, because you will sweat in areas that you never knew sweat before. That's been a really crazy thing for me. You just get nervous in the beginning and you start sweating all in your neck and your arms and everything. So key pads help, and napkins and stay hydrated definitely helps get over those nerves.
Wow, Erica, thank you. That's a lot of tips you just gave us in that last minute. Steno Squad, you might have to rewind to be sure you catch it all. Erica and I will be right back after we thank our sponsor. Steno Squad, if you are looking for some warm weather this winter with all the benefits of a tax write-off, I would love to meet you at the Lady Steno Speed Clinic in Orlando, Florida, January 14th through the 16th, 2019, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You will systematically learn more than 3,000 everyday phrases so that you can improve your real-time speed and translation rate. Pack your machine because this is an extremely hands-on training. Only 6 stenographers are allowed per clinic. Sign up today at www.stenospeedclinic.com. Steno Squad, we are back with Erica Riley. Erica, before the break, you shared with us a lot about your journey into real-time stenography, the ups and the downs. And now I want to ask you about what you would consider your worst moment while providing real time. Take us to that job and tell us what happened and what made it so difficult.
Well, Lady Steno, it's been a lot of moments that have been bad, but in hindsight, it's always a learning process. But one time in particular that comes to mind is when I was in Vancouver, British Columbia. I am from the South, and I have a Southern twang. Everyone out here has a Southern twang. So that accent is I'm very familiar and comfortable with. But when I went to Vancouver, the accents and the speed that these lovely people talk is on another level. So in one instance, I was providing CART for a hard of hearing student in a digital marketing class. And I'm not really familiar with the areas and the provinces and just the jargon that they were using to describe certain computer programs, and it was just very above my level. The speaker did not take a breath. She just kept talking and talking, and she would never, like after a period, you're supposed to take a breath. She would never take a breath. So I couldn't take it anymore. To be honest with you, I couldn't do it. My student wasn't receiving what he needed from me, which was the information. And that's first and foremost. Student is first and foremost. The consumer, they're first and foremost who's receiving this real time. And I just had to throw my hands up and say, breathe, lady, please breathe. Just breathe. That's all I need you to do. And fortunately, everyone in the class laughed. She realized that she was nervous. A lot of the speakers and people that you come across, they are very nervous, which is understandable. And when you're nervous, you tend to talk very fast. So after I told her to breathe, we had a good laugh. And then she got back on it, and we were eye to eye. We were on a good level, and I was able to complete the class and the speaker for the day. I did talk to her afterwards, and we had a good laugh about it, and then that was it. On to the next one.
At least that story has a happy ending. And
Yeah.
Definitely, there's just sometimes, like you said, they're nervous. The speakers are nervous, and they don't even realize that they may be talking just way too fast, and they don't need to. And it was hard for you, but it was also hard for the other students that were part of that class. And I think even with everybody laughing, that shows that they knew exactly what you meant.
Absolutely, Lady Steno. They knew exactly what the problem was. And even though I was very frustrated and I didn't want to get to that point, like if you feel yourself getting frustrated and that feeling, it rises up in your stomach and comes to your throat and your face, you have to do something about it. You have to speak up. You can't just sit there and just struggle. That's not what providing real time is. Like, you can't suffer. That's like letting yourself suffer and letting somebody just run over you, because if you are doing real time, somebody is looking at this, and you want to provide them the same amount of information that everyone else in the class is getting. As a CART provider and captionist, we strive for full communication. And if you can't do that, then you have to stop. you cannot be afraid to say, excuse me, can you please slow down before you get to that frustration moment? Because you'll be like me and yell, breathe, breathe. You don't want to step out of your character sometimes. You have to remain professional.
Definitely, definitely. So what about your most lucrative assignment as a captioner, real-time provider? What was that? And take us to that moment. What was that case about, or what was that event about?
Well, definitely there have been not too many super lucrative assignments, but back to Vancouver, British Columbia, I did do the digital marketing class, and that class provided me with about $15,000 over a month and a half. And that was like a epiphany for me, because I realized that I guess I am at the level now that I should be. And just coming up and doing court reporting, you're constantly getting down, like you're constantly failing tests. You're constantly feeling like you're not worthy. You're constantly, busting your butt, and then all you do is fail. Failing is like a big part of schooling for us. And that definitely had a hard effect on me. So whenever I did make that amount of money, it was kind of like a realization, but then again, I felt like I still worked way too hard. Like, I feel like I worked really hard for this, and like I kind of deserve more. So it's very important to get your certifications and to stay in school and to do what you need to do in order to get to the successful point that you need to be at. Because if you don't take value in your craft and in your field, then no one else will. So you have to know your value. You have to know what you're worth. And, you have to step up to the plate and do it and provide and do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. We as stenographers definitely need to recognize our value. And you mentioned that when you were in Vancouver, you made over $15,000 in a month and a half. But you live in Niceville, Florida. Did you have to move over to Vancouver, or explain that process? How did that happen?
Well, Lady Steno, currently I don't have any kids. I don't have a husband, and I left my dog with my parents, who also live in Niceville. And I just said, hey, I'm going to take an opportunity to just see the world. Not too many jobs or careers that are offered in this world give you the opportunity to just travel and get to see places and do things. So I said, I have no ties. I don't have too many responsibilities. Let me go ahead and take the time out and go to Vancouver. I heard it's the most beautiful place and the cleanest place in the world. They have great sushi. So let me go out there and see what it's like. And it was very hard for me because I've never traveled out of the country. It wasn't easy with the weather. The weather is super cold up there. It's very beautiful, but it's very cold. And, going from Florida to freezing is very hard to do. I really grew as a stenographer, as a court reporter or captioner. I really grew a lot. I did have to travel up there. Room and board was provided for me, which also made this job a lot more lucrative because I did not have to pay for transportation. I did not have to pay for my living or food. So that was like the icing on the cake for me. Remote captioning was an option, but I felt like, I needed to go up there and I needed to experience life and see what life was. And, I could always come back and provide remote captioning as well. But I just took a chance, just like I took a chance on being a stenographer, going to school for this. It was just something that I just took a chance on and let the universe lead me where it needed to be. And I am very happy that I did. It changed my life. And I'm not the same person that I was prior to going. And I feel like I'm at least 10 times of a better, well-rounded person, as well as a stenographer.
Let's get into your writing style. Do you brief? Do you phrase? Do you write everything out?
Well, Lady Steno, in school, we did learn a lot of briefs, but my main thing was just being able to write everything out. for the most part, I do write a lot out, and I suffer for it as well. Like, I was writing 6 to 7 hours a day on my machine over these last month and a half. And it's been really horrible for me on my wrist and on my body. And I realized, I've always been a person, oh, I write everything out. Oh, I don't need to brief that. Oh, I do have a few phrases here and there, but for the most part, I write everything out. And that has been something that's not good. Trying to learn a lot of briefs at one time is not good as well. Like, if you have briefs that you need to know, take 5 a week, 10 a week. Writing everything out is not a good option. It wears and tears on your body. And you do not want to be huffing and puffing and having to amp your speed up at the last minute. It's not a good feeling. So I do write everything out, but in the future, I would love to incorporate as many briefs that I can and just do anything that I can to try to ease up my huffing and puffing and pumping on that machine so hard when I shouldn't have to.
Definitely. And was there ever a time you felt that you were unable to be a real-time reporter or just a professional stenographer in general?
Yes, there's been a few times, a few moments where I feel like I just can't do this anymore. I can't continue on. And at that point, I just had to dig deep and say, what are you doing this for? Are you doing this for you, or are you doing this for a higher purpose? And providing cart and captioning for deaf and hard of hearing clients, they provide you with so much gratefulness. They're so happy that you're there. It's a very happy and fun environment. And I just had to realize, like, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this to help someone. I'm doing this to let someone else be able to be on the same playing field and get provided the same amount of service and learning ability that everyone else is. So after I took myself out of the situation, I had to decentralize myself from the situation. I was able to focus on the client and what they needed. And then at that point, that's when it became easier. But when I was all about self and I can't do this, oh, it's too hard, oh, it's too long, the words are too, too this and too that, you could come up with a million excuses. But once you decentralize yourself of the situation, you're able to fully understand that, you're not doing this for yourself. And I never was. It's all about giving back to the universe and being able to provide a service that, these clients wouldn't be able to participate in if it wasn't for you.
And take us to the present day. What is your current practice routine like?
Well, my current practice routine is mainly my states. I definitely get my states together. TED Talks are really, really helpful because they're not at a time speed. And in the real world, people don't talk at a time speed. They go in and out. They have inflections. They pause. Some of them pause. But using anything like a TED Talk or something of that nature, those are definitely good ways to practice and good ways to get new words into your dictionary. That's my main focus with the real time. I need for everything to come up. I can't have gibberish coming up on the machine on the output screen for my client. And that is something that I do get nervous about still, words not coming up. But, when you're doing cart captioning, it's a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy as opposed to working in a courtroom or doing depositions. So for the most part, I always ask my student or client, was there anything that you had a problem with? I like to get constructive criticism. Not too many people probably can say that, but in this field, you have to be open to people critiquing you because it's like you're putting your naked body on the screen and you're letting everyone see what you're doing. And they're just critiquing everything, your brain, the inside of your brain, they're just critiquing it. And so you have to be able to be acceptant of people telling you this or telling you that and take it with a good heart and be thankful and not get upset or not get offended and just do what you can to improve.
What is the best steno advice you have ever received?
Wow. The best steno advice that I've ever received is to back up your dictionary, as well as always making sure that you're on top of things. And whenever you feel that you are not capable of doing something, always ask for help. Never assume that you can just do something and you're just going to do it. You have to be able to say, no, I can't do that. That's out of my league. You need to know what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing. And don't be afraid to say, no, I can't do that. I feel like I'm not prepared enough for this type of job or this type of work right now. And, you can't blame anybody for saying that they're not ready for it. And if you feel you're not ready, then, you need to ask for help or you need to let someone know.
And what about the advice that you would give to all the future real-timers out there listening?
The best advice that I could give to future reporters and stenographers is to don't give up. Don't give up on what you feel in your heart that is right for you. You may get down on yourself. You may, not want to do this anymore. You're going to have bad days, but you have to know in your heart that this is worth it. What profession can you have where you get to work on your depositions or work on your transcripts at the beach or get to travel? So you have to think about what you can get out of this, and you have to keep going. You cannot stop just because you feel a certain way. Ask for help. Get someone to help you and coax you through this. And if you have problems, call on people. It's plenty of Facebook groups. It's plenty of outlets that you could use. And you need to talk to someone. If you're feeling doubtful, which is something that all of us have been through, we're not new to this. We're true to this. We're not perfect, and everyone gets down on themselves, especially as women, females. Certain times we get down on ourselves. So you have to have a support system. You need to stick with your group. Try to make as many friends as you can that are in this field, because everyone in this field, we're all willing to help you. We're all willing to take the time out to do what we can to make sure you're okay. And sticking together, it is great. It's a lot of abundance out here in this world, and it's not a lot of us that can do this. So always feel that, no one's gonna, take your spot. You're always gonna be great, and always lend a hand to someone who needs help.
Well, thank you so much, Erica. This has been an amazing episode. You have given us a ton of inspiration and lots of tips. And I'm honored that you are a guest on the Lady Steno podcast.
Oh, thank you very much, Lady Steno. It's been my pleasure to provide anything that I can for you and be an inspiration to all the students and all the listeners and everyone who is taking the time out to listen to what we have to say. I definitely am appreciative of that as well.